The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturdays or Sundays, SOR Media, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the expressed written consent of SOR Media is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced? Then come own the night with us.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all
Station atop the mountains of British Columbia, live from SOR headquarters. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and on Spaced Out Radio on iTunes. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio.
Brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized.
It's Thursday, March 1st, Friday, March 2nd, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond, and this is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, welcoming you to the Great White North in the Caribou region on top of the snowy mountains of central British Columbia, based here at SOR headquarters. We are 150,000 strong nightly on WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia, on the United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live at spacedoutradio.com, Spreaker, The Fringe FM, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to revolution.radio and donate today. You can follow us all over social media. You can try us on periscope.tv Monday through Friday. We are on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, follow me at Dave Scott SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. We're on iHeartRadio in the United States. TalkStream Live. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download and subscribe to our shows on iTunes. Our website, of course, is spacedoutradio.com, where you can also join us on GoFundMe. We are trying to build a brand new studio here at SOR headquarters. Help us go terrestrial. Go to GoFundMe.com/We Own the Night. That's GoFundMe.com/We Own the Night. Now, if you head to our website, you can check out our Spaced Out Radio store, do a little bit of shopping, read up on the encounter online, dealing with everything paranormal, strange, and odd. Check out my latest blog there as well. And you can also watch great videos from UFO Seekers, Contact TV, and so much more. With television shows like Ancient Aliens, people have been led to wonder about some of these wonders of the world and potentially how man was created. The debate is endless, but the idea that mankind, Canadians, peoplekind, has had a little help from the stars in a theory that isn't new, but has some potential of being true. For instance, the mystery of how the Egyptians built the pyramids so accurately does make some wonder, myself included. Tonight, from Australia, author Bobbie Richardson joins us. Bobbie is a spiritual author, channeler, creator, and visionary. Many of her creations include books, art, recorded music, productions, and presentations. They are inspired by wisdom received via her visions and premonition dreams while searching for the truth of human potential. Across the pond, near Brisbane, Australia, we say welcome to you, Bobbie Richardson, in joining us on Spaced Out Radio for the first time. So glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Dave. So glad to be here.
Now, if you hear me cut out all of a sudden, it's because I'm going into a coughing fit. My little guy, who's 4, decided that he wanted to catch a cold. And you know what? I haven't been sick this year. I made it through the majority of winter, and I can feel it building in my throat. That's the worst place for a radio guy, is the throat cold.
Yeah.
But it's coming. I can feel it.
No,
I can absolutely feel it.
You can so heal that.
I know.
Just before you go to bed, just say to yourself, it's not happening. It's just not happening. And then imagine all the good bugs eating the bad bugs and stuff like that. It won't happen. I've cured so many colds if you catch at the beginning, yeah.
Well, you know what? I also I don't know if you have Vicks Vapo Rub down there, but I love using the Vicks Vapo Rub. So tonight, what I'll end up doing is putting a bunch of Vicks on the bottom of my feet and putting some nice warm socks on and letting it do its work. Because that's
they say garlic in your socks is good too.
Oh, see, I'm Ukrainian by heritage. I'm Ukrainian by heritage, so garlic and me get along just fine. Actually, what I'll probably end up doing is taking a little tablespoon of hot sauce. I enjoy really disgustingly hot sauce. You know, none of this Frank's Red Hot sauce stuff. That's just child's play. You know, but really disgusting hot sauce, I enjoy it. So I'm probably going to take a little teaspoon of that and burn everything down my throat. So that's, I've got a game plan. I'm not going to lie. I got a game plan. Cool. So thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. Really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Have you done many interviews in North America?
Not in North America, no. I've done quite a few in Australia, but not in North America. This is my first. So yay, I'm getting out there.
Yes, that is exciting, actually. That is exciting, and thank you for taking the time to, us Commonwealthers have to stick together. I mean, we're all part of the Commonwealth here, Canada, Australia. We don't know about the Americans. They decided to leave us a couple of 100 years ago, but that's okay. We're still good with them. Let's learn a little bit about you here. And, Bobbie, with your experiences that you have had throughout your life, when did they start?
Well, they actually started when I was a little kid, and I think most people that have my experiences would say the same thing. My mum had the same experiences, but she shut it down. She didn't like it, where we would wake up and literally see things being shown to us or being described. Very much like the medium Alison Dubois. My life sometimes has fallen into a scenario like hers, but she's directed all her intention on solving murder crimes, where I've directed all my attention out of choice to find the potential of humanity. And one of the first questions I asked was the true history of mankind. But it started when I was a little kid. I had ET experiences when I was a little kid as well, and it was very, very frightening. But at the other end of the tunnel, when you've got a lot of information and you've realized where this is taking you, it's so worth the experiences.
Was this something that troubled you, or were you very accepting of it growing up and going through especially the tough times of the teenage years?
Well, when I was with my mum, when I was, because she'd shut it down, the first thing that I saw, I told her about, and she just went, nah, that's not going to happen. And she's a pretty powerful woman. So through my childhood growing up, I did have extraterrestrial experiences, which I can talk to you about, but I have literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories. But she shut it down, so I didn't really get fully into the visions until I'd actually left home, and that's when I was about 19. But definitely the extraterrestrial beings were still keeping a good eye on me through the childhood times, yeah.
Did it start out with psychic visions, or did it start out with the extraterrestrial contact? Because for so many people, it always seems to start differently.
The first thing I had was when I was about 4, and that was a psychic vision. I woke up to see something outside my room, outside my bedroom window. It was actually clowns, which frightened me a lot.
Yeah, me too.
That could be perceived as extraterrestrial, but also I've got an indication through my family, everyone's got something in the closet kind of thing. There was a bit of deceitfulness happening and so you have that clown face over you, and I think that it had something to do with that and telling me that something's not quite right or being shown to me properly. Yeah, it's funny, because there's the show Taken by Steven Spielberg, and they have the clowns coming in on that. Really weirdly, that's one of my favorite shows. I don't know if you've seen it, Taken.
I do know that one. And I really, when that came out, I really wasn't into the whole E.T. thing. It scared the living daylights out of me, and little did I know that a number of years later I would be hosting a nightly radio show talking about it. So
the weirdest thing is, it was, I think, the second or the third series of that one. My whole name is in the actual series. It was a famous softball player that was there, and they're telling about him hitting a home run over the radio, and they actually say my name, Bobbie Richardson, on the series, and I'm like, you're kidding me. And the elder that I was working with was saying that I'm to lead people back home, so it was really representing what I've been told I was supposed to do. So it's very interesting.
So when you started gaining acceptance to what your abilities were, how long did it take you to finally just say, well, I guess this is my life path, this is something that I need to do?
Yeah, well, it was something that I couldn't escape whether I wanted to or not. It wasn't until I was probably in my 30s before I went, you know what, I'm over this, because they just bombarded me with so much stuff that I just went, I'm taking the reins, and I'm calling the shots. And I would really advise this to anybody else, and I know there's a lot of people out there like me that see things. They just keep it hidden to themselves, but just take the reins and say, this is what I want. And I just asked to meet somebody that of high integrity that was human on earth and help me. And that's when I got led to the elder. And then to only have a couple of beings or spirits at one time coming towards me and teaching me stuff, because it becomes so confusing from our limited mindset to be able to understand what's been given to us.
Now, with the life experiences that you had leading into this, when did you feel that you had to make the turn to start doing something with this? Was this a decision you made on your own? Did you discuss it with your husband, your family, your kids? How did that come about?
Well, the partner that I was with, my ex-husband at the time, didn't really believe much in this. His statements was, "Oh, I believe that you believe," which I really hated that statement. So I always share things with him, but it was always come back with a lot of skepticism. So I really just made the decision on my own and decided I'm going to take the reins, say what I want, and everything changed from there. The visions become less, but what I got, I really had to listen to, and it moves. It's like flowing. It flows. Like at first it was a lot of visions, and now it's more precognitive dreams that are happening, and more intuition. I'm starting to trust myself a lot more without getting the frightening experiences of them trying to get my attention.
What kind of ETs were coming to you?
Well, when I asked for the true history of mankind, I ended up having, over the space of 10 years, 4 different extraterrestrial beings that played prominent parts. There was definitely others, but the prominent ones were telling me their version of the true history of mankind, because they were the main ones that were to do with our history and our DNA changing and everything. So they came to me, and that would be the Lyrans, the Palladians, or the Lyran vegans, the Palladians, the Anunnaki, and the reptilians. And they all gave me their kind of version. Sometimes it would be just something that would awake me and make me realize that it wasn't actually until the very end of it all, which was only in 2016, that I really pieced together all the pieces of the puzzle and went, oh my God, now I get it, I understand. And who knows what else they're doing, to me outside of what my perceived mind can handle, my consciousness, awakened consciousness can handle. That there was probably a whole heap more going on below the surface, and I asked about that, and they showed me things that they were taking me and I couldn't remember. You get that paralyzed feeling when you wake up, and then I'd get angry because I'd be like, well, I don't want to be paralyzed. So I would always take the reins with it all and say what I want out of it, because they always have their own agenda with everything. We're all in this universe together, and we're all evolving together. But the good thing is, too, I also got communication with the creators of this whole universe. Are us and we are them. And that made it a bit easier to see from an even higher perspective of where everybody's agendas are.
Well, I mean, it's very exciting, and it's funny, in the chat rooms right now, everybody's like, damn it, clowns? Damn clowns. Bloody clowns. Nobody likes clowns. Why? Well, and you go and bring up clowns. That's as bad. I get hammered on this show every night because I make it very public. The 2 things I cannot stand in this field are clowns and garden gnomes. They scare the hell out of me. They do. They scare the hell out of me. And, so well, I know that the minute that the clowns came up, that, Adam in the chat room, he's actually changed his name to Ad Gnome. He's going to start hammering me on gnomes now. And everybody's going to start hammering me on gnomes now, because they absolutely scare the hell out of me. So, I wish you wouldn't have gone there, or at least given me some warning. That way I could edit that part out on a live show. But
that's so funny, because I was actually hesitant to say it, and I didn't know why, and now I realize why.
Yes. So, no, it is kind of funny how that has come about. So, learning your ET experiences, then when you had children, did your children inherit the same type of experiences that you have?
That's exactly what happened. And actually, I feel my children are taking it even further. My oldest one is more to do with the logical mindset and teaching me that logical side of stuff. She's now 28. She's a scientist. and going a completely different path than what I am. If you mention extraterrestrial to her, she'll probably have a fit. But the other two, who are obviously in my life a lot more, being that they're a lot younger, are exhibiting things that are way even beyond what I was shown when I was a kid, because they have me as a parent leaving the door open for their experiences. But they've even taken it further.
I do need to ask you about this, with your eldest being a scientist, and you just saying if you talk aliens that she shuts it right down right away. I mean, this is someone who has grown up in a family of spirituality and experiences. How does she approach that from the scientific front? That has to be quite the interesting conversation between you two.
Well, it would be. We're not actually talking at the moment. I feel when she was 6, she used to watch that E.T. Phone Home movie a lot and loved it. And then one time she watched it, she absolutely freaked. And I think she was taken because she had a lot of nosebleeds after that and had to have her nose cauterized in the end because it was that bad. So I think from that, there's some sort of experience that she's had that she can partially remember, and she's just shut herself down. My ex-partner was very logical, so she's more on the logical side of things and decided to really shut it out. I don't know. It will probably. I've had a dream that all this would happen with her, and that in the end, she's going to be helping, create a new reality anyway. But we all have our own path. And we just got to trust sometimes that, we're not going to talk always to our kids sometimes, and they go their own way. But, it's been
I got one of those.
Her and I. Yeah, interesting. And there's a lot of people out there that do have those experiences with their kids where they go their own way, and they have to. I believe they have to. And I'm just trying to make it as less impactful as possible by not getting into any heated arguments, so it's better if we just go our own way at the moment.
Yes, my 19-year-old daughter decided to drop out of university where she was going to be going for her English degree to become a lawyer or a teacher to go into hairdressing.
Yeah, right.
And it's it's not the career path that I would choose for her, but kind of disappointing that she didn't talk to dear old dad about it. Nothing against hairdressers or anything like that, but when you see straight A students all of a sudden, like within 6 months, going from one drastic, which is an English degree, to another, it sometimes allows you to scratch your head a little bit and say, what the hell is going on? Well,
she's probably just trying out like the left brain logical side of things and now the right brain creative side of things. It's probably a good balance for her in the moment. And she might go back to that left brain logical, bringing in more of a creative endeavor with it after these experiences. You don't know. Yeah.
Well, I hope she does get in touch with her spirituality too, because she has literally been seeing dead people since she was about 18 months old. And the reactions we used to get from her, I remember, previous to with my ex, we would often, before bed, have cleanup time in the bedrooms, and wake up my daughter the next morning, to get her ready to go to daycare or something like that, and her room would just be torn apart. And I'd say, well, did you wake up in the middle of the night to she was about 3 at this time. I said, did you wake up at the middle of the night to play toys? And she goes, no, Daddy. No, there was somebody else. Well, who was it? And logically thinking, you sit here and you think, well, there was nobody else in your room.
Yeah.
And then the one day, her and her sister, who went to Grandma and Grandpa's for night. And all the animals, we had a couple cats and a couple dogs, or one dog, pardon me, and we're all around the ex and I as we were watching a movie on the couch, and all of a sudden we heard my daughter's squeaky door open, and then the pitter-patter of little feet running down the hallway. And then, back then we were just kind of getting situated too. We could, we put all our money into the kids and everything like that. So we ended up actually having, we always needed a new bed, but we had one of those squeaky beds. Like we didn't think of us, we thought of the kids. And all of a sudden you hear our bed going, like, somebody's having a good time there. Unfortunately, nobody was having a good time except for the little ghost girl that was using it as a trampoline,
Wow.
So that kind of turned the ties on, believing my daughter that she was a little bit gifted.
Yeah. 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 And that probably opened your doorway to a whole heap of new things.
Well, it opened up my door, and like I talked to a lot of parents about this, it opened up my door to saying, you know what, maybe there is a little bit more to these imaginary friends than what we know. Yeah.
Well, yeah, coming from myself, I mean, I've seen so many things. I've seen dead people. I've even seen gone into the elemental side of things and seen a lot of that. I've seen, you name it, I've seen it. And it is really, I always say to people, you need to take the reins and make a choice out of where you want it all to go. Yeah, it makes a big difference. So that's the only thing you can advise her if she ever wants to get back into it again.
Eventually she will. She's just going through that feisty, I hate dad. I'm the evil one right now. So, eventually she'll get over that. Eventually she'll get over it, when she's about 30 and I'm on, she'll be about 50 and I'll be on my deathbed, with oxygen being pumped into my nose. Oh, Dad, I'm so sorry. And I'll be like, you're too late. You're too late. I'm going to haunt you now. I'm going to haunt you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so good.
But on a serious note, you decided to do what, very few people do, and you decided to investigate this more, both on a paranormal, extraterrestrial, and a spiritual side. Was it your guides, or was it, just the thought of maybe, just sitting around having a coffee one day saying, I need to do something about this, Bobbie?
No, it was more... It was more because I woke up after just having been waking up three times a night over the last few weeks and going, I've had enough. And I knew I couldn't shut it down, so I had to take control. Because it was like I was a light beacon for everything and everything was coming to me. So it was more that I was thrusted into it because I'm actually, believe it or not, a really logical person, and I don't just believe absolutely anything. I'm pretty skeptical, but it's taken me on this incredible journey, and so many things for me have come true that I had to start listening. So it was more that decision of being thrown into it because they just kept hammering me until I did take the reins, I think. I mean, I saw my daughter before she was born when I was pregnant with her. I woke up and saw her standing beside the bed, and she looks exactly like she does, and she doesn't look like my other kids at all. She was handing me a gift. I saw her twice when I was pregnant with her. I used to see the babies floating around the room, floating towards me and actually coming to me when they were in their crib, astral traveling. I've seen my daughter astral travel body at the side of herself, and then I put my hand on her chest and she's hardly breathing, but then I see the astral body merge with hers, and she's back to herself and breathing properly again. I've gone into other dimensions. I've been shown gateways into what the potential new Earth looks like and feels like, which is the most important thing. How still our mind is when we're there is absolutely incredible and almost euphoric, and very colourful. I've just had so many experiences now that I actually didn't even approach anyone to do these talks. I waited till the universe showed me. So I was approached to start doing these talks. And one of the reasons was because I had a premonition dream when I start teaching people over the radio to still their mind and take responsibility for their thoughts, that some big disaster might hit the earth. So I was kind of hesitant on doing all this, but it's just, you just got to go with the flow.
Do you believe your children then are maybe hybrid daughters?
I'm wondering about my last one, because she is so different and thinks so differently. She looks more like me, so I'm not sure. I wouldn't want to say absolutely 100%, but yeah, there is that. Yeah, there's some more stories down that line, but how far do I go on the radio?
No, I fully understand. I fully appreciate that. Now, I do want to, because many of us in North America here are, unfamiliar with Australia. Many of us have never been there. Is it an active place?
I think that it is a bit active, but I actually come from New Zealand, which is an active place. And I was told to move to Australia when I was 31. So, yeah, I'm actually a Kiwi.
Well, I'm a West Coaster, so there. I don't have that aboot thing going on that most Canadians do, But though, I guess what I'm saying is it very haunted down there? Is there a lot of extraterrestrial activity, a lot of strangeness in the area there?
In Australia, there was a lot more to do with, because the Aboriginals were are very old. They're very old and ancient, and as far as I know, I can only tell you from my reality, they're very old, ancient people, and so when the Europeans came over, they really did some pretty nasty stuff. And so there's some places that have been kept very secret, and there's some places that are meant to be kept secret but aren't, like Uluru. And yeah, so there's different. That actually brings me back to, and I don't know why I keep coming back to this story, but remember you said before we even went on air about Pine Gap?
Yes.
Yeah, because there was a time, I think it was 2011, there was an alignment of some planets that was happening, and I had this really strong urge that I had to travel somewhere. Now, I contacted the elder that I'd been working with previously, but I kind of hit a block there and didn't feel that was right, and thought I'd go to Bali. Maybe I just want to go on a holiday or something, but that wasn't working. And then I had a dream about being on a bus and going to Uluru, and I hadn't even thought of going to Uluru. But the very next morning after that, I had an email from David Icke, and I had just, was one of the ones that were going to see him when he came over to Australia, amongst thousands of us. And he was asking if anyone wanted to come with him to Uluru. So I ended up going, I'm obviously going, because he only wanted 20 people, but I knew I was going because I just woke up from the dream of being there with, with somebody semi-famous. So, yeah, I put my name in the hat. Didn't even know if my girls would be taken by the ex-dad or not or anything. I didn't even ask him. I just put my name in the hat, and then I get a phone call, and the phone call's like, you're the first name called out of the hat. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because I knew I was going. And then ended up on the plane. My ex-husband wanted those exact dates. So it was so set up for me to go to Uluru. And I ended up in a bus load with David Icke. He's a big guy, actually. I was quite surprised. He's quite a big guy. Very straight to the point. I call him a matrix cracker, and I think he's doing a fabulous job for what he's doing. He just smashes the matrix, smashes the program, and gets people really thinking. And we all have our own path. Anyway, I ended up on the bus, and when I got to Uluru, I'd had a chat to the bus driver, who was really worried that because I'd mentioned something about having dreams, and he thought, oh, you're going to do some ceremony. And I'm like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just here. And he had a chat to me and felt a lot better because he was part of the Aboriginal tribe. He said, no, I could see in your eyes, you're all good. And when I was at Uluru, I just said to the mountain, my name's Alana Wananahi. That was my name given to me by principal people, by the other Cherokee elder that I was working with. So if you want me to do something, I'll do something. If I'm not supposed to be here, if we're going to leave in the airplane, later on this afternoon, it's all good, whatever. And then I was walking along the path, like right next to Uluru, and this man was walked up to me, and said, I just saw a turtle in the rock. You want to see it? And he's all excited. And I'm like, that's strange, because I actually pulled out my piece of paper that the elder gave to me of my name, which is Alana Wananahi, and Alana means turtle, where I carry the code and the map on the back of the turtle to lead people back home or to the new earth. And so he said, come with me. And so we ended up in the rock where we weren't supposed to be. At that point, I saw him as the bus driver that I was talking to, and I didn't want to do anything against any Aboriginals or anything wrong when it came to elders or anything like that. I wanted to respect everyone's wishes, but because he was part of the Aboriginal tribe, I decided that's okay to follow him. So we went into a crevice, and in the crevice, like two huge cliffs facing each other with about maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet in between. And we're in there, and then he's pointing to where he sees this turtle, which honestly I didn't really see it. But I said, oh, we're here now. That's really bizarre, right? And I had in my head, because of the contact I've had with Palladians, that they put their forehead on my forehead and chanted, starting with Ra, these syllables through me. I said, I think we need to put our foreheads on the rock face. So we did, and chanted. And then all of these, all the information from my dreams of these potential new earths went flowing through me. And I remembered all these dreams, and then my hands were shaking. I felt this huge, like, pulse, never felt it before touching a rock, where it's like a giant heartbeat going through the rock. And then I knew that there was some sort of gateway that was happening there. I can only tell you from my logical brain what was going on, but in the end, after all this information was passed, and I said to Uluru or the earth, there's many starting to awaken, and she's like saying to me, I'll help you awaken many more. And then it just kind of ended there, and I looked over and I thought, geez, we have to get back, because this guy's the bus driver and we got to catch a plane. And I looked over to the guy that was next to me who was chanting, and he's like putting his hand in between the two rock faces and looked at me, and his eyes are like drugged out, like your pupils of your eyes are just huge. And he's going, none of it's real. None of it's real. Oh my God, none of it's real. Just spacing out. So I pulled him out, and we sat down and we just chilled, and then we ended up going back onto the path to go back to the bus. And when I get to the path, I found out that it wasn't the bus driver, it was somebody else. And it was like I was deceived, so I'd follow this guy. Otherwise I wouldn't have followed him, because he wasn't to do with the Aboriginals, and I really wanted to respect the Aboriginals. So that was one of the stories that happened out of the trip to Uluru. But when I landed in Alice Springs, I had a terrible time in Alice Springs, right next to Pine Gap. And I know that David Icke actually tried to go to Pine Gap. They got a little freaked out past the first sign and drove back. But I actually literally saw souls trapped coming out of the wall when I was at Alice Springs, and I remember feeling so sorry for them, like they were trapped in these cube black boxes. And I said to him, I said to them, sorry, I just saw my daughter outside. She's trying to get in. I'll have to go let her in a minute. I just sort of said to these beings, I will try to help you as soon as I can, but I don't, I can't at the moment. But I felt like their souls were trapped in these cubes, and I think that had a lot to do with Pine Gap and what was going on underneath that place. Sorry, I'm just going to let my daughters in. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Her daughters are just getting home from school. It's just about 2:40 in the afternoon there. So that's the noise. That's the noise. The daughters are coming in. That's okay. We had a little play-by-play going on there.
I'm all good now. I'm back.
All right, perfect. So when you were at Pine Gap, what's it like around there? Is it as secretive in an area that everyone expects, or what we all believe?
It is. I know that there's the big signs that say, don't go past this point, government, blah, blah, blah. And then you go to another sign and it will say, if you go past this point, then you will be shot at. So I'm like, well, that's pretty freaky. It is. It's a fort. You can't get in there. But when I flew over it, it was just these huge white balls. I didn't actually know what it was because I didn't know much about it at the time when I went to Uluru. I've learned a bit more about it since because of the experience that I had and wanting to find out a bit more about it. But I know that it's levels going down underneath, and what people do on top don't necessarily know what's going on down underneath. Everyone just knows their job to do. I've also heard that there's like elevators going from America, maybe Area 51 through to Pine Gap. There's a lot of experiments happening down there. Some ETs that were working with governments. So that's as much as what I know about that place.
So when you are talking with your own personal ET contacts, have you ever discussed Pine Gap with them?
No, not. There was a scenario that had happened to do with, but it wasn't exactly what I would call extraterrestrials coming to me, but it was a scenario of being shown. I woke up and this sounds really weird. Some of the stuff that happens with me is just so out of the box that you just got to. I've learned to just go with it and see where it leads. But I woke up with this three-headed dog barking at me. I had no idea what the heck that was. It freaked the shit out of me when it happened. And that was to do with the gateway. There's a gateway that's happening. You can look it up. It's got to do with Greek mythology and all sorts of things, and that had to do with what was happening in the Pine Gap area, and so I was led to certain information with that. But I'm still a little bit iffy about it, so don't really want to say anything unless I know for sure about certain things, because this is all, something that I didn't really get into too much, because if it starts freaking me out a little bit, sometimes I'll just step back and wait for the next bit of information.
You mentioned that you get scared.
Oh, God, yeah. Sometimes.
What scares you?
Sometimes something will wake me up and freak me out, but it's only for a moment. Like, for instance, when I went to Fiji, when we just got the tickets, I woke up. See, sometimes I get so used to it that it doesn't freak me out, and then sometimes I haven't had anything for a while, so it does freak me out. But I woke up and saw a severed head Fijian head on my bed. And I'm like, honestly, that time that didn't freak me out. You think that would. But he was just like, hey, howdy. And I'm like, oh, hey, I really want to go to sleep. Good night. And roll over and go back to sleep. And then I found when I went to Fiji, we got taken by someone we didn't even know to some caves. And in those caves, that's where they sacrificed people and chopped off their heads. So that kind of makes sense why he was saying hi before I was going to meet where he was, killed over in Fiji. And like I've been given languages, even when I was in Fiji, there was a lady that was shown to me over the crib of my daughter singing in another language. And when I went to the Fijian chief, he turned around and said, yeah, that's a Fijian lullaby. I didn't even know if it was Fijian or anything at the time. So things like that happen, you start to really trust the messages that you get.
I remember one time when my little guy, he was only about 4 or 5 months old, and we put him on our bed just to kind of relax. It was like an evening nap. It was about 9 o'clock, and he would usually wake up around 10:30 for a feeding. And so we just put him in our bed at that point. And over the monitor, we hear a woman's voice. Mm. And it was like singing. And went in there, immediately pick up this lady who starts chatting with me about the little boy. And her job, if I get the story correct, okay, and because I went in there, and her job was to be a guardian angel to babies, and she would leave them at 2 years old, 2 to 3 years old, and so the image that she was getting was if you pictured a very demure, beautifully dressed woman of the 1930s, 1940s, and she was sitting there on the side of her bed, on the bed, just kind of sitting there, and, she was explaining to me how she has the greatest job in the world, and, and it was just one of those beautiful moments that, spiritually we were able to capture. Now, of course, people will say, give me proof! No, there is no proof. It's a moment. It's a moment, damn it.
Yeah, it is a moment.
Hey, I do want to ask you, speaking of which, are people in Australia, New Zealand, that whole Australasia continent, are they more accepting of spirituality and the episodes and experiences people have, or are they quite closed-minded like what we see here in North America?
You get pockets. I just come from Mullaney, where it's a pocket of people that really, you can talk about anything to anyone, and everyone will just say their crazy experiences, so-called crazy. I think they're actually quite normal. And then I've just come back into mainstream recently, and now I'm in a pocket where people probably will just look at me as if I'm pretty crazy. And also the Maoris and the Aboriginals, there's a lot more of them coming out now and speaking the truth, because I think that's necessary for us to start listening to these Indigenous people that actually knew a lot more. So it's pockets of people. We kind of stick together in some ways.
Now, with the Indigenous population down there, do you find that a lot of their stories are quite accurate?
Yeah. A lot of the stories, like the dreamings of the Aboriginals and the, if you really look into it, you can see where beings were coming in. But they will just see it as a dreaming of a person that turned into that came and moved the mountains or whatever, or created a lake, or and then they would be seen as that energy of that lake. But I've heard a couple of stories, Indigenous stories, that were really, really got me, where a white light had come down and silver people came out, and then the silver people died off, but the babies that they had with the others could survive, and they could literally move mountains and stuff and create mountains and all sorts of things. So there's stories, and it's in our history, but you have to really dig and have an open mind with it all. I have to, and especially in the next half, go over the information that I was given from these four beings about our true history. That's a journey and a half because if we do go through our true history, we start to realize just how powerful we are and our place in this universe, and we'll start. I believe if we know our true history, we'll start acknowledging ourselves as being worthy of protecting rather than being used and being a victim to everyone out there. So that's another big thing that I got out of the history of the humanity from these four different types of beings.
What kind of beings did you see?
That's the Lyrans, the Palladians, the Anunnaki, and the reptilians. They were all part of our DNA change. Yeah.
That's right. Now, we only got about 5 minutes here before we have to go to our first break of the night, but I want to start off on the main reason why we had you here and come on the show, which is humanity versus, or how it's aligned with extraterrestrials. Do you buy into the whole ancient aliens theory that have become so popular in the UFO extraterrestrial culture?
Sorry, just ask me that again.
Well, do you buy into the theories that are going around? Like in North America here, we have a show called Ancient Aliens, where
yes, I have some of those.
Yeah,
Yes.
do you believe that ancient aliens are really maybe our humanity's forefathers?
Yes, well, that's exactly what I was told. And I'll get into detail of how it all happened, the actual story that happened to create us, the story that they told me, or the four of them told me. Yeah, definitely, 100%.
And do you think there is evidence on Earth then today that is provable that these theories are correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's statues and there's all sorts of evidence out there that the hieroglyphs. Even in Gosford in Australia, there's a place that's just out in New South Wales that has hieroglyphs there that are similar to the ones on the Egyptian temple, and they have ET crafts on the actual hieroglyphs. Now, we've had one person, a university person, come in and say, oh, no, that was created just by somebody as a joke. But it's just too much to be created as a joke. Too many carved out ancient, rocks to be able to say that that's just a joke, But, that's coming from a limited mindset from university that they don't want to see as alien as being the truth. Yeah. So there's a lot of evidence. You just need to look a little bit further than your mainstream TV, because there's a reason why we've been shut down. It's a really big. It's all meant to happen this way, and at the moment we're supposed to now come back to our true potential. But we always have choice. So we could decide. Someone could decide, no, I like to be the victim to what's going on and not have to take too much responsibility for my own life and keep going this way. Or you can make a choice saying, I'm going to become a powerful being and learn the ways in the universe with next to or alongside all of the other extraterrestrials out there.
Do you think there is some sort of record or book kept by scholars that actually details this type of content?
Tablets, I tripped up over those after I was given some information. So what happens if I'm given information, I won't believe it completely. I wait till it comes to me 3 or 4 times in different ways. And sometimes that way will be like next day an email will come to me, or I'll go to work and there's a book open on the actual subject that I was told about. And then I'll go, okay, you got my attention, if it happens like 3 times. And Sumerian tablets was one that I did trip up over, and they hold a lot of information. I've forgotten the guy's name that actually deciphered them, but yeah, but a lot of that information went with what I was told.
Do you feel comfortable in thinking that it is a positive relationship, or like a lot of people are thinking that maybe we were grown as slaves?
We were grown, there is that. But you have to hear the whole story. There's a lot more to it than just grown as slaves. It's an actual evolution of not just us, but a lot of beings in this universe. And we hold one of the keys because we have both sides of them in us. So we hold the key to their evolutional step up, to join back to Creator and being, because the Creator is us and we are them. And the way that they showed me Creator, the Creators showed me, I'll just say this before, I think we've only got like 5 minutes left, was because of my limited mind, I knew I couldn't take in what they really wanted to show me. So they're showing me in a very two-dimensional way. Our reality is energy and schematics. It is just patterns, and we are programs within those patterns to be who we are.
Right. I'm going to get Bobbie, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Yeah. Hold that thought, because we're going to step out for our first break of the night. Author Bobbie Richardson is our guest tonight, taking in this interview all the way from Brisbane, Australia. We really appreciate her doing this. It's her first interview here in North America. Hopefully not the last. We're going to talk more of humanity and aliens coming up in hour number 2. Hour number 3, we're going to open up the phone lines to you, because I want to know what your opinion is on aliens and humanity. We'll give you the phone number after the next hour. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. We'll be back right after this.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty, from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Lori and Fenton here, SOR listeners. Join me at UFOCon 2018 in South San Francisco, California, March 23rd through 25th, where 14 presenters discuss all things disclosure, UFOs, and aliens. Stephen Bassett, Grant Cameron, and Melinda Leslie address disclosure. Preston Dennett will present Inside UFOs. Your Dave Scott and Lynn Buchanan tell of amazing alien contact. Get tickets at caufocon.com.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Coming September 28th to the 30th, it's our first annual Caribou Paracon, put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. 3 days of paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual knowledge in the beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Tickets are $150 Canadian for the event, being held at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Come watch our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Lori and Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, and more. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Hey Space Travelers, it's Joe Roop, your host of Spaced Out Saturdays. Come join me as we explore the realms of the paranormal, the esoteric, and everything in between every Saturday night at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. You know the truth is out there. Don't get caught sleepwalking. Come join Spaced Out Saturdays. That's every Saturday night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, right here on spacedoutradio.com.
Psychic Sundays, spiritual communication, ET contact, Sasquatch in your backyard. We will have it all on Cosmic Passport with me, Elizabeth Anglin. Each Sunday, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, at spacedoutradio.com, I will take you on a journey of enlightenment. The goal is learning from the soul on out. We'd love it if you joined our experience, Cosmic Passport, heard Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
365 days a year, we're in the field, investigating UFO sightings, talking to alien abductees, and visiting secret military locations like Area 51. We're UFO Seekers, official partner of Spaced Out Radio. Follow our daily search for the truth at ufoseekers.com or like us on social media. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Want to learn more about aliens, cover-ups, conspiracies, cryptids, and the paranormal? All you have to do is tune in S4 as we take over Spaced Out Radio Night, starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, each and every Saturday night, right after Spaced Out Saturdays. Hi there, this is Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. Join me, Corey Ruiz, and friends as we discuss the hot topics of the night. It's fun, entertaining, and as dark as the night. Find us at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the second hour of Space Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, our Keith Andrews is back as he comes in the first Friday of every month with the ET Connection. So we will be taking your phone calls to talk anything extraterrestrial rated, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time, at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live on The Fringe FM, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to revolution.radio and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What the hell is this, Bill? Versutiloquent. Versutiloquent is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow me on social media, you can watch us live Monday through Friday on periscope.tv. You can also use Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio if you want to connect live with me during the show as well. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, you can follow me at Dave Scott SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio for our archives. We're on iHeartRadio in the United States. TalkStream Live. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download and subscribe to our shows on iTunes. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. Rock out to some Bumblefoot. Shop at the Spaced Out Radio store. You can read The Encounter online, which is our news section, or watch great videos from UFO Seekers, Contact TV, and so much more. Now, if you want to check us out, go to any of those sites. We also say thank you to our guest tonight, all the way from Australia, author Bobbie Richardson. And we are talking humanity versus aliens. And it's very, very interesting topic because there are many people who believe that there is a tie between mankind's startup and extraterrestrials. Bobbie is one who believes. Bobbie, welcome back.
Hello. Good to be back.
Well, I'm glad you are. I'm very glad you are. So I'm just curious in regards to learning about this whole idea of aliens being in how can we put it? Life's perspective. You know, going against the grain of the Bible, going against the grain of absolutely everything. I'm just wondering why you believe that humanity is quite intertwined with extraterrestrials.
Yeah, well, when I first started asking the questions of the truth, I just wanted the truth. I actually had nothing in my head. So let's say I just come with an empty cup. Apart from what school had taught me of the history, and even at school, I was like, this just doesn't feel right. Some things did, and some things just didn't gel with me. So when I asked that question, I said to the guidance that was giving me the information, I don't care if it's boring, if it's what school says, if it's crazy, if it's, I didn't care what the answer was. I just wanted to know, just cut straight to the truth. And it took, like I said, 10 years for me to get the truth through 4 different beings and their perception of the truth, because they were the main instigators of our DNA changing. And I just followed that. So then I started, when you get information from something like that, like I said, I always ask for more confirmation, and I was given a lot more confirmation via things that I was sent to, emails and stuff like that, or websites or books, or that other people had the same or similar information. But in the end, I had to put a lot of it together myself from the information that they gave me. And yeah, so that's how I got into what I'm doing. I didn't fully believe really anything to begin with. I was just getting visions and people and seeing things as if they were real, telling me things.
Now, was this over this learning stage for you? Was this over a period of time that you learned this, or was it an encounter where you were taken and they broke it all down for you?
It was them visiting me over 10 years. So I've had numerous accounts where I'd wake up and have beings in my room and then feel the immense power from them, or I would have them visit me in what I would call real dreams, and then wake as I'm waking up. The actual, like when the Palladians arrived, they came in a dream because it's a lot more subtle and easy for people to handle. And they would put their forehead on my forehead, and then they started chanting Ra. I can't remember the rest of it. I know it started with Ra, T, La, whatever. And that vibration went all the way down me in a very low tone, and then they'd turn their head and speak in their what I would call like half Egyptian Celtic-y language, and then they would come back to me and then do more chanting. And as I'm waking up out of this, my body was literally shaking with the experience. So I was having a physical reaction to the experience, knowing full well what was happening in my mind's eye. And then there's other times where I had my whole window implode inwards and beings flying around, and I'm sitting up going, they're coming soon. And my ex-husband had to tell me what I said because I couldn't even remember. Not just yet. I've been waiting for this one. And that was in 2007. And in 2013, they arrived. And I also saw an extraterrestrial ship outside my window the same time when they had arrived, the day before they arrived. And I thought it was another vision where no one else can see but me. But then I see on the actual chit-chat of the neighborhood that someone else has said, did anyone else see the orange UFO last night? So then I realized that other people could see that as well. And there was a lot of experiences that happened from these beings. Some of them wanted exchange. The Lyrans and Vegans are more into exchange, information for information. And, of course, the reptilians were just fully on the consumer race and wanted to keep me in the quiet. But from them I learned a lot anyway, and that experience was obviously pretty But I found out how powerful I was from that experience, because when they came towards me, it was like one of those horror movies where you see someone and you go, hey, I sit up in bed and go, hey, you stop right there. And then they move, you blink and they moved forward, and you blink and they move forward. And then the next minute they were on my bed and they had their arm around me and they were trying to shove pills in my mouth. Now, something overcame me, some powerful force within myself, when I don't know how I'm going to get out of this, but I knew I was going to get out of it. And I kind of relaxed into that. And I think what had happened is all my chakra points or energy points aligned to one point between my heart chakra and my sacral chakra, and it exploded out like a white light. And when that happened, it's like I went up a frequency, so the being couldn't come with me and disappeared. So I realized then how powerful I was, and I wasn't afraid of them anymore. And I can even, shift them out of my reality if I really want to. It stopped me being victim to them, which is great. But then with that comes the knowledge and the information on why they're a consumer race, why we ended up being victim to that consumer race, and that's a story that I'll get into with you with what I was given.
Yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead. You can get right into it.
Okay, so if at any time I'm going too fast, because I've heard this story, you know, I've told this story a few times, and I can go a bit fast, and people are like, whoa, 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 just hang on there. Just let me know. So I'll just start from the beginning. When it comes, I was starting to tell you a little bit about the creators, because that was one of the first things I need to explain. We are part of them and they are part of us, and how they showed me was, it's like the only way they could show me is in two-dimensional. It's like a light being that covered part of themselves with a black blanket, and then they little pinpricks in the black blanket, and that actually our stars. So the stars are the portholes of different frequencies. If they want to change a frequency on a solar system or planets, they send it through the stars, and they'll shift that frequency that way. I say they, but they are us too, because they're covering themselves, right? So it's so that we can learn a lineal, as a human, we can learn a lineal time, because that's our program from birth to death, and we choose to come into that experience. But there's other beings in this universe as well, and so they're living a different experience where time isn't part of their reality, where they can jump from future to past or whatever. So there's a lot more scope than what our program holds. Just like a tree wouldn't have the same program as us, but we're all, everything in existence is part of the creator, or our creator. We are the creator and they are us. So that's what I was given in the information from that. And the energy that they send is like somatics. It's like sacred geometry that comes through the sun. Yeah. So what I'll go into is right at the beginning. I'm just going to go from there. I'll jump. And then we've got two beings that were at the edge of their evolutional status. So we have the Lyran vegans that were creators in this reality, and they created beautiful things, but they became quite weak within themselves, and they got to the peak of their evolution without any more something going against them to make them stronger. And in another dimension, the draconians or reptilians were at the edge of their reality, so they were the consumers, and they consume, and that's just what an experience of those beings was supposed to do. There's no right, there's no wrong. So then the creators figured, hey, let's have them to come together. So they allowed a porthole to open up. The draconians will have their own story for that. And then allow the draconians to meet up with the Lyran vegan people who were creators. So you're meeting consumer meets creator. And from what I was told or heard, that the draconians wanted something from the Lyrans, what you'd expect. The consumers, the Lyrans are like, well, we don't know you. The draconians will go, well, that means no to us, so let's blow up some of your planets. So boom, 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 blow up a few of their planets. And the Lyrans or vegans were scattered. And the only way, they were genetic, because they were creators, the only way that they could do is to start manipulating other life forms around the universe to try to make their bloodline stronger so that they could handle this new formidable energy that came into their reality. Meanwhile, the draconians found the Anunnaki on a planet Nibiru, which was going on a long orbit around Earth. and the Anunnaki allowed the Draconians to breed with them and stuff, different beings on that planet to strengthen their bloodline. And they came through past Earth, and as far as I know, because some of the pieces I've got, I would love to get other people's take on, because there's bits and pieces that I would say I'm not 100% on. But as far as I know from this point, that they actually came here and saw they evolved here on Earth, and then they manipulated, or they bred with some of the mammals. And so we now have our first brain. Our first brain is a reptilian brain. And then the Lyrans and vegans on their trip trying to find somebody to breed with to up their reality, to evolve their persona, was they found Earth, and they'd found these beings that were created by the Draconians at that point, or the Anunnaki, and then they said the Nibiru planet had already gone off on their long orbit further out, so we were kind of left on our own devices. They thought that we were that's how we evolved. So they came in, their scientists said, yes, you can manipulate our bloodline. Don't let the new creation be able to breed, but let's manipulate them to see whether we can use their bloodline to up, better ours. And so then we got our second brain and and evolved a bit more. And they left us in charge with the Palladians in charge of us. And the Palladians were supposed to help us connect with what they call the little people in the spirit world, and the water and the plants and the crystals and the earth. And we learned how to connect with different dimensions and talk telepathically. And then after a very long time, we created the lost worlds of Atlantis and Lemuria. And we were also given the ability to breed. But the experiment that they had going got out of hand, and we started warping dimensions. And it's like we were like babies with matches. So the creators got a wind of this and went, no, we can't have this happen, because they're going to muck up. We'll muck up their reality that they're creating. So they sent a new vibration through our sun to lower our vibration. And then Nibiru came through again, and the Anunnakis saw, and the Draconians saw, that we had been involved and been taught by Palladians. There was a war that came out, like a Star Wars war. And, of course, because of the lower vibration sent by the creators through the sun, the Anunnaki won. And so there was the big floods and stuff, and which could be seen as biblical. Then the giants were around, so you can actually see statues of giants even in the Egyptian temples and things like that. That's where they come from. A few of them, and they were called also the fallen angels, because a few of them decided to breed with us. They weren't supposed to, and they ended up, so they ended up breeding with us. And then, sorry, I was just distracted then because I heard a noise outside.
Thylacines. You got thylacine problems over there.
I got what?
Thylacine. Tasmanian tigers.
Okay, that's all right. So, anyway, where was I up to? So the Anunnaki then went, so they were in charge of us. They taught us farming languages. They separated us. They didn't want us to be the telepathic people that we were. We really fell pretty far. The Draconians were told to be in charge of us, but not to show themselves, so that we could we're kind of playing out a game for them. The leaders of the Anunnaki, they ended up keeping us for mining, to mine the gold. That's what you were saying about before. So we would be mining the gold which is on Earth, which is a really good something. I think they turned it into a white gold or something so that they could put around their planet with some sort of protection mode. I'm not sure about that one, but if you really think about it, why is gold interesting for a human? It's just it's funny, but we all have it ingrained in us that gold is like a program put in us that it's important. Then after that, So then we're right in this place where we are now in charge. The Draconians are in charge of us. The Nibiru's gone on its natural course, but it's coming back now. It's actually come back, and I've been told by them that they're back. They're actually just overseeing what's happening at the moment, because I want to see what's really going on. But the thing is, everyone's evolving. This is over a long time. So the Lyrans are evolving, the Anunnaki, the Draconians. They're not all bad. Not all Draconians are bad, just because we've been put under this kind of spell to have them in charge of us at the moment. But we actually have got now both creator and consumer brain within us. And that gives us the next evolutionary step for everything, a newer understanding to be able to connect. We can't create something without having the, ability to protect ourselves and destroy as well. So we've got both, and that's a really important thing. And I think that opens up the pineal gland, and then the pineal gland is our next potential, which was another talk that I talk about, because I was given a lot of information about the pineal gland and the somatics and the little teeny tiny crystals that are in that gland that is an actual eye, to give us way, way, way more potential. But the first step to being able to tap into that is to have a still mind. At the moment, we're like in a war zone within ourselves, which is reflected outside of ourselves. There's a war zone on our planet. But once we start realizing we've got finding balance between left logical and right creative, and even the elder that I worked with said, we're all insane. Everyone's insane, because we're all being taught they're only left logical, which is what the consumer reptilian draconian wanted us to do to be able to keep control over us. But once we start to realize how amazing our imagination is, that we can actually imagine our life and create our life, and it will manifest outside of ourselves. 0 point is the key to opening up that pineal gland and being able to step into these other dimensions again and work with a lot more, being telepathic. I was, even with the elder, I was asked to sit next to her, and she held my hand and started talking to me telepathically for over an hour, and I was gobsmacked. I didn't even realize really what was happening. So I asked, while we were under that connection, could you please give me some confirmation? And I asked me to follow her back to America, which I knew she'd never do normally. But straight after her talk on remote viewing, she came up to me and said to her husband, "Hey, Tony, we want Bobbie to follow us back to America." So the exact words that I asked her to use. And then she whispers in my ear, "It's magical, isn't it?" And the connection that we had was just so amazing. But we have a lot more abilities than what we even can fathom. And it's time for us to start taking the reins. But we have to take responsibility for ourselves. And that was the biggest lesson that we've had to learn since the time of the Atlantis and stuff. If we don't take responsibility for what we're doing, then we're going to muck everything else up again. So we've been watched by a lot of beings at the moment to see how we actually pull through this.
A lot of people also surmise that this entire project here on Earth, if we can call it that, has also had ties to Mars as well. Did you learn at all about any type of previous civilizations on the Red Planet?
Yeah, the Red Planet has still got beings on it. Mars, it's got beings under the ground. And there is even some structures that they've found on the surface, I believe, by now. I think that we've been visiting Mars for a long time, but not everyone's been told. I mean, there's a lot of missing people going on Earth, so there's a lot of games being played out by the consumer race to try to keep us into this reality, because they obviously don't want to lose their control. I mean, it's been a good game for them, but it is time they need to realize that evolution is more important than them holding power. And if they want to evolve, they have to now start accepting that some races need to grow, and we're one of them, and stop trying to control us. But they'll probably, to the death till they die, try to keep control of us. I don't think it's going to happen, because the creators have sent through a new vibration through the sun, and I believe that new vibration is just waking us up really quickly. We're still going to have choice as humans to still be under this spell if we want to, or we can decide to empower ourselves and become a lot more, and realize that we can create our own reality. I put everything I'm saying, I've actually put a lot of it to practice. I've sat in a field and gone, you know what, if I'm creator of my reality, and I know I can still my mind, because I've been taught over the last few years how to still my mind. I can still it for at least 10 seconds. I should be able to create a new reality in that 10 seconds. So I sat on the field and when I was camping, and just sat there and went, you know what, I'm just going to close my eyes, not even look, pick a blade of grass, and it will be a 4-leaf clover. And it's exactly what I did. Stilled my mind, sat down, picked this blade of grass, and looked at this 4-leaf clover and went, holy crap, this is for real. We are literally creating our own reality at every given thought. And that's why they try to keep us under fear and keep us under victim and make us feel bad about ourselves and our sexuality and everything that goes on. I mean, it's just ludicrous. Our educational system is just so backwards and coming forwards. We're not taught both sides of our brain at all. We're taught from one side of our brain. And how ludicrous is that? That's not an education. It's part of an education, and people want out. People are committing suicide and everything, because the first thing you do as an energy, if you don't like where you're at, is destroy yourself and destroy the things around you, because you don't want to be in the scenario. But we do have a power within ourselves to start taking control of our thoughts, not listening to that authority anymore, and leading ourselves to a new vibration. We can do that.
So when it comes to Mars, was Mars blown up? Was it a nuclear catastrophe, as many spectacle people like to believe?
Yeah, as far as I know, because I don't know a whole lot about Mars, but as far as I know, Mars had civilization on it, and then that civilization ended up being driven underground for, I think that they had maybe even some nuclear things going off there. I'm not really sure, though. I couldn't say that 100%. It's not something I've been told by any beings. I'm intuitively feeling into it at the moment, really.
So with the attunement on helping create man, because, I mean, this does put the entire, philosophy of creationism and even evolution on the back burner. Why did they allow mankind, then, the free will to come up with this type of story about how we were created if we are intently coming from extraterrestrials?
Because if we're coming from extraterrestrials, then we'll look out for them and not for the God that they want us to follow. If they've put us under a program of being a victim to everything, So we won't have, if we don't have the information of our true history, how can we step from this point to become who we're supposed to become? If you told a mouse that they're a fly, you kept telling it that it's a fly, it's not going to ever become a mouse. You know what I mean? It's just they've covered us over with this veil of deception so that they can control us. It's easier for them to do that. And keep us mining the earth if we don't see the earth as a living being. As far as I'm concerned, she's just as important and as alive as we are. She breathes, she, produces stuff and it grows and all sorts of things. If we don't listen, don't acknowledge her as something that's powerful, that could help us, we're at the mercy and we can mine her and not even care what we're actually doing. We don't see her as anything more than a lump of dirt. And that's what a left brain, logical brain will do. That's why they teach us and educate us that way. Materialistic stuff is all that's really existing. It's only since quantum physics has started really developing that we've started realizing there's more to it energetically wise. And they've known this a long time. The pineal gland is represented in the Vatican court. It's on his staff and everything. They know that that's one of our seeds to developing and evolving ourselves. But the fluoride in our tap water, the preservatives in our food, it crystallizes it over. They've taken children and that have died and cut open the pineal gland and be just even as young as 4, half crystallized over. So we need to, first of all, waken that up. And intention is everything. We are the creators. We can create, and change whatever we want at any given moment. And I like teaching people just to, like The Secret that came out, just explore that a bit and go out and say to yourself, choose something simple. I'm going to find 5-cent pieces everywhere. I actually had a really cool story of a guy that I sat down. I was in the dating game for a while there and met up with this guy, sat down by a river, and I was explaining to him that he can manifest what he wanted. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And I said, no, really, just say to yourself, you can find 5-cent pieces everywhere. Make it simple to begin with and then up the ante if you get good at that. Well, we got up from that talk and then walked 5 steps, and he looked down, here's 5 cents. He's like, oh, here's 5 cents. I said, see, that's how powerful you are. And then he goes home and then he's texting me, oh my God, I've found this 4 more 5 cents since you've said that. And I said, see how this is how powerful you are. You've got to now up the ante to say somebody will give you a present tomorrow for no reason. He said to me, I don't know how powerful I am, but I am 45 cents richer, It was interesting. There's so many more abilities to humanity. It's just the tiniest little example of just a little thing that we can at least start to experiment with. My first thing that happened with me, I was extremely lucky. I was traveling with my partner, another partner down towards Akaroa Beach, and I had in my head, just think positive. And this voice just kept coming back. Now, up till then, I never had any channeling. I didn't even know what the word channeling meant, didn't know what meditating was, didn't know anything spiritual. Just had this voice in my head that kept saying, think positive. And then it was saying, I was going, yeah, whatever. And it was saying, well, why not? No one else can hear what's in your thoughts. You're the only one who can hear what's in your thoughts. Why not give it a go? And I went, yeah, whatever. I get to the beach and he goes out and takes some photographs, and I'm sitting in the car, and it's the same voice says to me, open the car door and start digging. And I'm like, oh, that's a weird thing. And I hope there was no one around. We weren't even at a car park. It was just a random piece of beach, because the beaches go for miles, and near Akaroa, you can just pull over anywhere. And it was like a gravelly sand, and I went, okay, well, I'll just start digging. And I dug up a solid gold bracelet with a few $100s. And I'm like, okay, I think I've got to listen to this voice. And that started me on this journey of, well, it's not that we want to just think positive, but it was a learning curve of learning to control my thoughts. You can never, and it's silly to even think that you could think positive all the time. Actually, in the end, you start realizing that positive and negative, there is no such thing, that it is just all experience anyway. But that was how they started me on that journey of being able to control my mind and my thoughts. So if I can help anyone else, just have a go at that. Not have so many negative thoughts in their system, and see if their reality outside of themselves starts changing. And mine certainly did.
Was it hard to comprehend everything that you were being told, because it is so anti what we have been told in our lifetimes and what we've grown up with through history books and religion?
Yeah, exactly. I think I was just like this curious, almost like Alice in Wonderland. I'm just so curious where things will lead me. And I was lucky my parents weren't religious. I nearly did go that way, and my mum was so upset with me because I started believing, what my religious teachers at school was teaching me. But at the same time, I can remember feeling this horrible, icky, dreaded feeling while they were teaching me. So I suppose I've always had an intuition and been very empathic to follow what I was told and taught outside of school. Yeah, if you're at school and then you just get this gut feeling that something's not right, then it's within you. You can't ignore that. You just go with it, I suppose.
So with the extraterrestrials taking over Earth, when did they get here?
I haven't got the timelines. People keep asking me, when? How long ago? I'm like, I just know that it was a flipping long time ago that all this started. Yeah, I honestly can't say the timelines. I wish I could.
Did they bring, let me ask you this then, did they bring man here? Or did they create us here, in your opinion?
They used what was here and infused their own DNA. So they would have used a rib or something of themselves. So some aspects of the Bible can be seen as truth, but it's seen as truth from a different perception, not from the perception of being controlled, but a perception of being empowered. We were created, but everything is created anyways. I mean, there's a slow evolutional path, but I think we fast-tracked it. And that's why we had to be brought back down to be able to learn even more valuable lessons, because we've learned a lot from these people that are in charge of us. We've learned that it's, war doesn't get us anywhere. We've learned that we can create our own reality, but we have to also think of our environment and everyone else in it when we do take those steps. We've learned a lot from being under control with the reptilians and draconians and all that. And, yeah.
Do you feel that we have inherited a lot of their own DNA in today's society, or have we pretty much created our own right now?
I think it's a bit of both. We have that consumer ability, we have that creative ability, but now we're finding our own selves and where that can really lead, and the realization that choice is everything. If you were in the most dire straits situation, but you chose to live, you were not going to leave this program, this reality at all. You will not leave. Somehow or other, something will happen and it will change. We have way more power than what we think. But we don't want to be abusive of that power and create things that are going to warp everything for our own greed. And I mean, that's what these draconians and that are teaching us. not to be greedy like them and only self, thinking of self, because really self is everything. It's our environment as well. We're walking programs. That's how I see it.
No, and I can understand that. I mean, we're still quite a fairly young civilization, but do you think that they have led us towards any type of growth, not only spiritually, but, even technologically? Because, I mean, you look at the pyramids, as I said in the intro off the top of the show, I mean, we're 4,500 years past that, and our modern science still cannot figure out how the pyramids were built.
Exactly. That we are all, they've taught us a lot, but not, a lot of them have taught us not through their own wanting to teach us, but it's kind of like that reptilian that came up to me and tried to attack me. Well, what did he teach me? He didn't teach me he actually taught me how powerful I was by that attack. Not that I want to be attacked by anything to find out my own true power. I'd rather create my own reality in a different way. But they've all taught us something, even if they didn't really want to. That's evolution. That's how it works. But we've been given, I mean, like you say, we've been given technology by beings that used humans to improve their own DNA and all that sort of stuff, and then the governments just kept it as a secret for themselves. There's a lot of stuff going on behind closed doors because they think that the mainstream, if they know about it, we'll stop mining, we'll stop working for them, we'll stop being the working bees, because we'll realize that we can create a way better reality. We don't even need to mine, for the gold and stuff anymore. You think about it, we were supposed to live in a reality at the moment that is beautiful because of the technology we have, not working harder, and everybody out there is working, 50, 60, 70 hours a week now. It's like, isn't that supposed to get shortened as our technology gets bigger? That's going backwards. So it's been, a lot of the stuff's been hidden from us, and it's only been drip fed to us. There's way more out there than the iPhones and stuff like that. There's way more information that we could be given to lead our life into a beautiful existence, but we won't be able to have it because we will stop mining the earth. We'll stop doing what they want us to do. We'll live in luxury, all of us.
I understand that, but where does it say that we have to fully comprehend what they are trying to teach us? Because we do not see them here, or there isn't a Bible or anything along those lines showing the do's and don'ts of the Anunnaki or the reptilians. So it's very tough to, call this more than speculation.
But we're being taught now how to use our intuition. So you're talking from, I need a book, I need something substantial, I need a left brain logical so this makes sense. But the whole journey is to teach us to become more in inner work, intuition, and learn from our own truth. We can't trust anything that's on the internet anymore. So we have to trust ourselves. We're actually being taught to trust ourselves because we can't trust anything else outside of ourselves. It's funny how they think that they're doing all this and trying to cover us up, but actually it's creating a complete opposite pattern over here where, I can't trust everything that I see on the internet, so I'm just going to trust my inner guidance. And now if I trust my inner guidance, then I know that I can trust if I have a precognitive dream, or, you know what I'm saying? It's not always going to be like a Bible, left brain logical, this is it, guys. Here's how it works. We have to find it within ourselves. It's hard to comprehend when we've only been taught by a left brain logical way of thinking, though.
No, and I can appreciate that. And trust me, I'm not trying to dismiss what you have learned or what you believe.
Oh, no.
I'm not that type of host. But to me, it is very difficult because I do consider myself a creationist. I do. Mm-hmm. I don't buy the evolution theory, but that's just me. You know, there are a lot of us on this planet. Do I go to church? No. You know, do I have my own spiritual belief? Absolutely. And I can say that I can see where people have a hard time fathoming the truth, but when you bring in the intuition and the soul searching that goes along with it, that does kind of make sense, because when you start to look inside of yourself and the more you become connected, the more you start to see things that you never knew existed.
Yeah, and trusting yourself. Because you can't trust anything outside of yourself, so you start trusting yourself. That is really valuable for anybody to be able to do that. I mean, even in the search for me to find a partner, I had to learn to trust myself to find the right partner. You can't look at a book and a manual to go do that. You have to trust yourself.
So how does one learn how to trust themselves?
Well, for me, it was just allowing, like I would have, like in the end, I was lucky. I had an intuition. So to trust that intuition, I would put it to the test. I would have a dream, and then I would see the same thing happening outside myself somewhere else. You know, and so my intuition and trusting myself became more and more and more. If I had none of that, if I had no visions or no dreams or anything like that, I would look for coincidences outside myself. I would put out to the universe, because I'm the creator of my own reality. Okay, this is how it's going to happen. I'm going to see everything 3 times at least before I start taking notice of the information coming to me. And it has to come to me in all different ways. You know, I would make statements like that and see what happens outside myself to see if it actually works. So then you start trusting more and more of the coincidences that are coming your way, and you start trusting yourself more that your intuition was on the ball. Lots of people have had it anyway, where they go, I had an intuition, I should have done that, where I did this instead, and now I wish I had done that. I mean, we all have intuition. Some of us don't listen to it as much as others.
I understand that, but there is also a huge discrepancy in everybody's personal intuition. So mine and what I see may not agree with yours, or it may not agree with my best friend's or my wife's or anything.
No, so you are the one that wants to, you create it the way you want. I'm only giving you my example of what I would do. You go out to the world and go, okay, this is what I want to figure out what if my intuition is true. I want to see blah, 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 blah. You know, you could even say, I just want to see 3 different objects, and let's see if that comes to me, because I'm creating my own reality, right? Let's see if it happens. I've done it once with my birthday, where I went, I didn't have anyone around me to give me a present, and I went, you know what, I don't care, I'm going to get a present. And I got a present from a total stranger, didn't even know it was my birthday. She gave me a massive, huge, beautiful wooden frame that I love, and I'm an artist. So, you know, you just got to play with the universe and your world around you, and don't close any doors, just leave them open, and keep asking questions and seeing if you can create different things. You'll start slowly trusting yourself. And as for the truth of if you want the truth of humanity or whatever, then say, I want the truth, but I'm prepared to hear anything. You can't say, I want the truth, but it has to be down this road. You have to let go of everything that you think is for real and see what comes back. I call it a blank canvas. So I whiteboard my canvas and allow things to come in that is just the truth. And if the same story comes back, absolutely fine. You know, if it's a different story, then okay, give me more confirmation so that I listen to that story. That's how I would choose to do it.
We only got about 3 minutes left with you tonight, and I want to say a big thank you for you coming on the show. It's been absolutely great. Have you noticed your own personal intuition since you've found this out has increased or decreased, become stronger, weaker? What have you noticed?
I feel it goes in waves. Sometimes I like slipping back into mainstream, and then I lose it for a bit, and then it comes back. Nothing seems to happen in a straight, direct, upward hill line. It seems to go in waves of lessons the whole way, but always slowly up. Sometimes 2 steps back, then forward. So I never get too upset when things. Like I haven't seen anything for about 6 months, and I just saw a vision for the first time the other night, and I went, okay, they're coming back again. So I don't worry about it anymore. I just allow it to all develop. Could I also mention that I have a website?
Well, you already kind of just started, so you might as well run with it now.
Thank you. So my website is my name, which is Bobbie, Bobbie Richardson. So it's www.bobbierichardson.com.au. And I have 2 children's books. I started off with the kids because I wanted their education to be expanded, because I felt that was a good starting point for humanity to grow. So I have 2 books, Imagine Holding Hands, which is for 0 up, and that's just asking really out there questions. What if you could talk to the animals, and what if you could heal the earth and stuff like that, getting the kids thinking outside the box. And the second one is a novel, Jonah and Kitty, The Timekeeper's Void, and I'm also doing a 3rd book, which is UFO Girl, at the moment. So they can be found on my website, www.bobbierichardson.com.au. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much. And you go enjoy your afternoon tomorrow, because it's still today here. I just want to let you know that. It's still today here.
5 o'clock at night here.
Oh, well, we're hitting 11 p.m. pretty quick here. Bobbie, you hold on. I'm just going to, head into commercial here. Bobbie Richardson, once again, our guest tonight, the first 2 hours of the show. In hour number 3, I am opening up the phone lines to you. 1-702-302-4556. That's 1-702-302-4556. Do you believe humans and aliens coexist as one? More alien talk on SOR and the Thought of the Dave coming up in hour number 3 next.
Hello, SOR listeners. Lorian Fenton here. Let me ask you, now that disclosure's happened, what does it mean for ufology? For answers, join us at UFOCon 2018 in South San Francisco, California, March 23rd through 25th. Keynote speakers Stephen Bassett, Grant Cameron, and Melinda Leslie address the current disclosure agenda. Dave Scott, yes, you're Dave Scott, and Lynn Buchanan tell of amazing alien encounters. Get your tickets at caufocon.com. That's caufocon.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
The first annual Caribou Paracon is happening September 28th to 30th in the 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Brought to you by the Canadian Society of Questers and Spaced Out Radio. Come listen to our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Elizabeth Anglin, Paisley Town, Mike Moran, Eric Cooper, and more. It's a 3-day supernatural adventure at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Tickets for the weekend are $150 Canadian. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We are lighting the void on Saturday nights on Spaced Out Radio. Hey, this is Joe Roop, and I'm hanging out in SOR headquarters every Saturday night, bringing you the latest news when it comes to the weird and strange. Bigfoot, occult, UFOs, ghosts, and everything in between, I got you covered. You can tune in to SpacedOutRadio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time. Come travel into the void with us on Spaced Out Saturdays.
Not ready for bed on Saturday night? Right after Spaced Out Saturdays, hop on over to S4 with Corey Ruiz and me, Eric Cooper from Forest Moon Paranormal. With S4, there are no limits to what we try and uncover. From government conspiracies to helping clean up the paranormal, no topic is safe on S4. We get to the heart of the matter, of the subjects you want to learn more about. So tune in on S4 starting at midnight Pacific, 3 a.m. Eastern, only on SpacedOutRadio.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with U4COP. On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories, from alien encounters to the latest conspiracies. You won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Do you want to know the truth? Do UFOs exist? Are aliens real? Are the governments hiding the biggest secret in history? We're UFO seekers, and we're on a hunt for the truth. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow along with us as we journey across the United States, visiting UFO hotspots and alien hotspots, trying to document the UFO phenomenon. Catch us on Spaced Out Radio every third Monday of the month as we discuss Area 51, UFOs, and more. And also, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories.
It's Cosmic Sundays with me, Elizabeth Anglin, in Cosmic Passport. Let me take you down a 3-hour spiritual journey where we will get into everything from ET contact to Psychic Sundays. It's a journey of listening and learning together with some of the best professionals in their fields. You can tune in to Cosmic Passport at spacedoutradio.com every Sunday starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. Tomorrow night on the program, it is the first Friday of the month, which means our Keith Andrews is back as we will be discussing the ET connection. So we are going to open up the phone lines to you guys and see where you want to go with it. Anything you want to learn about extraterrestrials tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. We want to welcome in everyone listening in on WQEE 99 Rock the Key down in Noonan, Georgia, home of The Walking Dead. We are live as well on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and over 160 countries around the world. We are also live on The Fringe FM, and if you're listening in on Revolution Radio, remember the Double R Machine is a donation station financed by you, the valued listener. Head on over to revolution.radio and donate today. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Versatiloquent. Yes, Versatiloquent is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Now, if you want to follow us on social media, we are live Monday through Friday on Periscope.tv. Hello, everyone on Periscope. How you doing tonight? We're also live on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio if you want to connect live with me during the show as well. Give our Facebook page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. On Instagram, you can follow me at Dave Scott, SOR. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio. And we are on iHeartRadio in the United States. TalkStream Live. Tune us in on TuneIn. Download and subscribe to our shows on iTunes. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including joining the SOR Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. Rock out to some Bumblefoot. Shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Read The Encounter online, or watch great videos from UFO Seekers, Contact TV, and so much more. Now, we're opening up the phone lines to you. 1-702-302-4556. That's 1-702-302-4556 as we continue up. And, yes, okay, Gail, there you go. I forgot to put my picture back up on Periscope. So, aliens and humanity. Do you buy into it? Do you buy into it? I don't know if I do. I'm going to be honest. I do not know if I do. All right? Like I said, I have no problem in saying that I am a creationist. I have no problem in saying that, you know, there are certain things about evolution that I can understand. I mean, that goes to the dinosaurs, especially. That would be the big one. But being from aliens, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just not fully sure that I believe that we came from some alien descent. I mean, is it possible? Absolutely it is. Absolutely. I do think extraterrestrials have been coming here for millennia. Why not? We're a relatively young species. We are very young. What do you think? Let's go to the phone lines right off the bat. Area code 347. Who am I speaking with?
Hi. You're speaking with Kafunya Ife on the East Coast.
Hi, how are you?
Jersey. I'm fine. I found out that you were on Periscope. I'm also on Periscope as well.
Oh, excellent.
But most of the time I listen to you on wolfspiritradio.com, which I'm also a radio host on that.
Oh, beautiful.
station as well.
Yes, and let's give it, before you go any further, let's give a big shout out to JP at Wolf Spirit Radio.
Absolutely.
Classy guy, very classy guy, and love the guy, and he he's a funny dude as well behind the scenes, and just thinking about him, he makes me laugh.
Yes, he produces my show called Feel the Vibes from Your Guides, and I'm on the second Sunday, and he produces it for me. And if it wasn't for Dave Corso, the founder of Wolf Spirit Radio, who knows, maybe that opportunity didn't arise for me. But I wanted to talk to you about your guest tonight, which I really, really fully enjoyed her experience.
Thank you.
And your question, do we think that they're extraterrestrials or other visitors from other galaxies on the planet? That was the question, right?
Yeah, do you think, well, let's ask you right now, do you think we come from extraterrestrials rather than creationists believe God, or First Nations people believe that we come from a higher consciousness and gods of Mother Earth? What do you think?
Well, while you were talking, or while both you and your guests were reasoning, I was thinking about the Dogon people in Mali, West Africa, who pointed out the Sirius system long before they were telescopes and things like that. And how did they know that? How did they know that Sirius, the star system Sirius, was there? I feel that Earth is not the center of the universe as we were taught growing up, but I firmly know that there must be, although I've never encountered other visitors as yet, I definitely feel that, we are being visited, and I definitely know that we are created. I know for myself that I never evolved from a monkey, or an ape, because if that's the case, how come they're not evolving anymore right now on the planet?
Good question.
So I am all of the above except, feeling that we evolved from an animal. I don't buy that. I know that I wasn't evolved from an animal. I know that, specifically a monkey or an ape. And that's my take on it, and I love your show.
Thank you so much. And are you an extraterrestrial contactee or abductee as well?
You know what, my brother? I am always looking up at the stars. I love nebulas, star nebulas, and I'm always reasoning with the sun. And maybe, I don't know. I really don't know, but as things begin to evolve and the awakening is happening, I know that I'm very in love with science fiction, things that deal with the outer realms. And recently I listened on Wolf Spirit Radio about this gentleman from the Monroe Institute talking about out-of-body experiences and how you can travel to various galaxies or go anywhere you want to. And with that being said, when the guest was talking about, small things, like finding coins or just testing yourself and trusting yourself, I am doing more and more of those things. In the beginning, as you know, being taught, I was raised a Catholic. I went to Catholic school, but my grandmother was also in a Baptist school, but when I was being indoctrinated by the Catholic religion, I got a voice clear as day, that said you don't have to go through another person to get to creation. You don't have to go in between. And from that, and that's when I was receiving my confirmation, or I was in elementary school. Because, they teach you have to go to confession and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then, like I said, that voice said, as clear as I'm speaking to you, that you don't have to go through a middleman. You don't have to go through another person to get to, I call it geometry of divinity. That's what I call it. G-O-D, geometry of divinity, because the more I am learning about how beautiful and how marvelously made the human body is created, it's fabulous. How it recreates cells every so often, and organs and stuff like that, given the right environment. You can't be eating GMOs and junk foods and whatnot to expect your body to rejuvenate itself. It won't do that, because it's like putting sand in your gas tank. It's not going to operate. So, I'm just watching. I'm learning. I find that your program is an educational, relearning things. I find that Wolf Spirit Radio is a learning university as well. And, I'm here exploring. And I love the name Spaced Out Radio. I love that. And that's why I think I'm attracted.
Well, thank you so much. I'm very humbled by you listening to us, and
absolutely.
That's
absolutely.
just fantastic.
Because you figure out, like, I can't even remember how I got onto Wolf Spirit Radio. Mm-hmm. It's just something that happened, and got an opportunity to speak to Dave Corso, and letting him know how much I appreciate love his programming. And learning that word sound is power, that we have the power to create our own reality for real. And like the guest was saying, we have to take responsibility for those thoughts, and we've learned that war does not create anything except more war. And we're learning. To me, it's like quantum jumping. Thoughts are things, it's currency, it's an energy, and nobody can take your power away from you unless you allow them to. That's what I'm learning, that we're more powerful than we think, and we're not helpless. And I do feel that there's certain frequencies and energies that are assisting in the further evolving and expansion of consciousness, that we're all here. We have to get along with one another, and the person or the energy that created this whole division of skin color and class and all of that, that is so ridiculous to me. I could never figure that out.
You got to realize, me coming from Canada, I don't get it either. I don't get it either, but
I don't. And the other thing that I was going to say is, the educational system, like your guest. What's her name again? Please tell me. Bobbie?
Bobbie Richardson.
Bobbie Richardson. When she was talking about the educational system, how we were all miseducated about each other. So the agenda was to keep us confused, to keep us separated from one another on this planet. And now, because of the information of light that is being given, we all realize that, hey, I can learn something from you, and you can learn something from me, and we don't have to, hate one another. We can love ourselves, because if we hate one another, we're also hating ourselves, and those emotions can create dis-ease within our body system, unexpressed emotion. You know, and the fact of, you know, like, you know, who are these people? And now I'm getting to realize who they are, you know, or what energy that they have, you know, wanting to pollute the ocean because you think you're separated from the ocean. You're not. You know, cutting down trees and doing all manner of things, GMO foods. Who would do that? Somebody that I think that doesn't have a soul would do that. Or can be brought, you know, by tons of money and vaccines and all of these things that harm people.
And I understand with where you're going with that. I do, but I mean, there is and I'll tell you why. Okay, I live in a small community that is literally, if the wood mills shut down here, this community would become a ghost town. Okay, like there's only 1,800 people in my community. The mill probably employs 400 to 500 of those people, or the two mills.
Yes.
Okay, so I think there is a healthy balance in you know, refreshing or helping Mother Nature refresh herself. And, you know, people making money. I mean, I don't know when you started listening to the show, but last summer I saw the devastation of what forest fires can do. And my entire town was surrounded by forest fires. It was some of the most scary times of my life. Was those 2 weeks starting on, you know, in those 2 weeks in July. It was absolutely freaky. Absolutely freaky. And I can say this, you know, people can sit here and I heard it all during the forest fires, that Mother Nature's pissed off, Mother Nature is doing this on purpose. You know, I don't know how much I buy that, because it was man-made, and I think we have to find a healthy balance between where we are going with, you know, environmental issues comparatively to what we're doing to sabotage those environmental issues, right? Because I think we have too many people leaning on both sides really hard, and nobody's standing in the middle saying, well, let's work this out. Let's find something that balances. And in the end, balance is what is needed much more.
I would say in the traditional African way of agreeing with you, I will give you an ashe. And ashe means so mote it be. It means that I am in full agreement with you that unless we know contrast, how are we going to know what to do and what not to do? So contrast is very, very important in my opinion, as well as the balance. And I'm in agreement with you.
Well, thank you.
Because we do need, you know, I like the idea of solar energy. I like the idea of wind energy and all of those other things. Let me tell you something. I think and I feel that there is more positivity on the earth than negativity. And the reason why negativity looks so big is because of the media. That's my take. I think there's a lot of good people out there that want to see the right thing done. Not fanatics, not, you know, they want to be able to, you know, live on this beautiful Garden of Eden without looking at bombs, I'm not with that. So I thank you for allowing me to speak with you.
Not
a
problem.
You're fantastic.
Thank you.
And I
way
love
too
it.
kind.
I love it.
You are way
Thank you.
too kind. Way too kind. And before you go, do me a favor. Do me a favor, please.
Yes.
Give a little shout out for your own show so people who listen to Wolf Spirit Radio can learn about when you're on.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm on the second Sunday of each month, which is called Sunday Service. It's the second Sunday of the month, And the name of my program is called Feel the Vibes from Your Guides. And my name is Kafunya Ife, and you can listen to me on wolfspiritradio.com.
Well, you have a beautiful voice. You have a beautiful voice.
Thank you, my brother. You're my brother. And,
thank you.
And thank you so much. And may the force be with you always.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. You take care. I'm going to go to another call right now. Area code 330 coming on up here. Who are we speaking with tonight? Area code 330. Do we got you? Hello?
Yeah, this is Kevin. Moonlight.
Kevin, what's going on?
Oh, not too much, man. You doing pretty good?
You know what? I feel this throat cold coming on, but I'm going to battle it. I'm going to battle it. I'm thinking after the show I'm going to go make some hot tea and guzzle that down while it's boiling hot, so it'll be good.
Yeah, put a shot of Jack Daniels or something in there, you'll be good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Absolutely. So what you got for me?
I wanted to chime in. If you call it an intelligent design instead of creation, it kind of satisfies everybody on that kind of stance. I look at it.
But I'm not politically correct. I'm not politically correct, man.
Yeah. I don't, I kind of look at it, I think there was help there. I think it was help on the alien side. I think they took what they had and they, worked around it. There was the reason why was there was such a huge increase in the brain size of the, of early man back at that time frame. And it was such a large jump, and it wasn't part of the evolution. It went from, it increased like 40 or 35 to 40% all of a sudden. And something happened there that wasn't natural. It either had to be some kind of really, really freak situation, or they had help there. And so I'm looking at the aliens helping out there, and the whole story of the Garden of Eden and everything, and the Bible. It's not in a time frame there. It's a repeat of of other stories from earlier ages or whatever, but it just sounds like a test, like a whole test site and everything. And to me, that's my take on the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure where to go. I'm not sure where to go with it. I really, it seems to me as more people try to find out what is happening within their own spirituality that we are coming up with a lot of generational type excuses or thoughts. And I think at a point that could be a little bit dangerous, but I'm not one to test the spirituality of it because I think, to some extent everybody creates their own reality. So I think it's a dangerous point to try and say, well, I'm right, you're wrong, because I believe in the Bible or because you believe in something else. But at some point, it does make me scratch my head and say, what the hell is going on? Where are people, is there an ayahuasca store around here that I need to be hitting up for some extra grade sightings into my spiritual path and journey? I don't know. I really don't know, Kev. And this is what confuses me a little bit, because everybody that has kind of pulled away from the church is searching for their own message. And if everybody is getting a different message, how can that message be trusted?
Yeah, I got you. I know what you're saying. And the only way I can anytime I'm talking about it, and when I'm looking at a mixed group or whatever like that, I just go for the intelligent design. So if you believe that God was the intelligent design, fine. If you believe that the aliens were the intelligent design, fine. But something happened something helped it right there. Whatever happened that changed the brain size and changed what the evolutionary phase was at that particular moment in time. Something happened, and time frame, it was probably back 100,000 years. But something happened there, and it was a huge jump. And at that point, something helped them. Put it that way.
Well, let me ask
my belief. And
Kevin, let me ask you a question, if you don't mind. Have you ever had experience with extraterrestrials?
Just that I've had one sighting when I was about 12 years old, and it was I talked about it one night, just in the chat room, stuff like that. It was just a sighting. It wasn't I think it's like a second degree, I think what you call it. Just seeing it up in the sky and stuff like that, and nothing with beings or anything like that. But so going from that, I do believe in extraterrestrials. I do believe wholeheartedly, and I do believe in the disclosures have been given to us over and over and over again, and that we're just not taking the message. We've had enough disclosures from credible people and from the government, and we're just not taking it to heart. And we're looking for this, we're looking for it to come out to each one of our houses. Until they come door to door, we're still not going to go ahead and say, okay, for sure they're real. If we see them on TV that they're in Washington D.C., 3/4 of the country is still going to say, "Well, I think that's fake."
And I know where you're saying. I know where you're saying with. I know where you're going with that. My issue with it, though, Kevin, is with the Bible. Okay, if we take the Bible, not the King James version that was edited, but if we take the original Bible, okay, those are stories handed down from those who were there to create the gospel. All right, so I can see where mankind, all right, sorry, Mr. Prime Minister, people kind, all right, were using that as a basis and a faith and religion. I get that. I can appreciate that. Okay? But there is nothing written that we have found, unless it is being hidden in the catacombs of the Vatican or wherever, okay, that shows any type of documentation that we have came from alien beings. Now, science. But hold on one second.
I can interrupt you just for 1 second.
Sure. Go ahead.
There are several places in the Bible, the Torah. Okay, when they look at the when they go through, and they can go through the translation before they do the translation, and they go through and they do it in the Hebrew, and they talk about. It's in plural. Gods are in plural, or it's like us, not like man. Man was. When they talk about it, like in Genesis, they're talking about man was made like us, not like God. Man was made like us, and it's like 3 times in the Torah, it's mentioned that way, like in the plural sense.
But
so instead of being God, it's plural, like gods or like us.
Yeah, but to play devil's advocate here, saying that we were made like us, maybe that's the vision of God's eye, and us is actually all of us.
I just don't see it that way. It's just,
And that's fine. I'm not trying to. I'm not.
I know what you're saying, but it's just, to me, it's just one of those things that we were made. When you talk about it all the time, it's like we were made in His. It's late for me. It's like 2:30 in the morning, so I'm having hard time getting my words here. But we were made in His eye, or whatever, like to look like Him, but instead of that, it's a plural, and as if it say the gods. So, and it's like that. It's like 3 times in the early books of the Bible, and it's also put that way in Revelations. There's times when it's put in plural. And so, I mean, stuff like that, and there's a lot of stuff that whenever it's translated from Hebrew into English or into any other, to Latin or any other language, they go through and they change it, okay? But the thing is, when you look at the actual language and stuff like that, there are so many places in the actual scriptures where it points to different interpretations, and it talks about multiple gods as if there were multiple gods, and it talks about other things that just don't add up. And I don't think the Torah was an original book. I think things go back to the ancient Sumerians, and I think it might even go back further than that. But
it could very well be.
The ancient Sumerians were so far before the Torah was written, and the Torah has writings that are from that, and we can date that.
Wonderful. Kevin, you had a good run. Thank you so much for calling, but I do got to get to another caller here, my friend.
Okay. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Bye.
Kevin from the Spreaker chat room. And we're going to go to area code 423 here on Spaced Out Radio. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Dave, this is Tommy. How you doing there tonight?
Tommy, what's going on?
Hey, yeah, I enjoyed the show there. And
thank you.
Bobbie Richardson. Yeah. So you're on Feeling Up to Speed.
Oh, I appreciate that. I'm due, though, man. I'm due. I haven't been sick in a while. Not that I'm wishing it upon myself, but, I battled hard this year. I battled hard. I was hoping for the shutout, and, that puck is on the goal line right now.
I don't think I've had a cold 20 years. I don't think I've had the flu in 20 years, and I don't think I've been to the doctor in 20 years. Whatever. Anyway.
Yeah, but you don't have little munchkins running around who are just disease spreaders.
Right. Thank goodness. I have 2 little munchkin kitty cats, but they don't go to school, except my school.
What's your question tonight, brother?
Oh, don't really have one. I was chiming in there on some of your topics, on your subject there with your last caller and Bobbie's, just overall, life in the universe. Get you pondering there and your comments and so on. It's interesting. I've said this before, and I have to make this disclaimer. I don't know everything.
Are you sure? No. Are you sure, my friend?
Well, I might. Actually, if I had my memory, we probably, all of us, already know everything there is to know. We just don't remember it in this limited reality construction. But no, I say that to sort of, with the ego in there. I'm not. I don't come off like, I know everything. I'm just saying that for the people out there that need to hear that, because I don't mind. I don't. But anyway, not to take up a lot of time on that. Touch on a few things here, if I could, to come to my mind. I'm not confused about it. Like you say you are. I like I say, I don't know everything, and you're always learning more and add to your repertoire of knowledge. But I'm not confused. I settled this a little while ago with all the various abundant amount of information out there for the past 20 years or so, to come to my own conclusions, and in each of us, what makes us, each of us, unique in this universe that no one else, no other being has, that you have, and I have, and everyone out there, is your particular viewpoint. No one has it. And it's important for us to be able to express it, but we've not been allowed because we've been tampered with, genetically manipulated, dumbed down and stupefied. And so this whole realm, the Bible, all of it, I'm not putting anybody or anything down. This whole realm is fiction. It's not congruent or in harmony with who and what we truly are as divine, sentient, sacred, sentient, sexual beings that we came from. We weren't always like this. We fell. Our consciousness fell some point in time, maybe 15,000 years ago. We got too greedy and careless and reckless and blew ourselves up, and that's what happened. We weren't always like. There wasn't always poverty and war. Anyway, so this is why we're where we're at, is to climb back up the ladder in consciousness and to eventually evolve out of it. And that's what I'm here for, is to keep the evolvement going so that we can continually stop the war, bring in the harmony, and finally unite. Right now, we don't really have unity. We have divided to be conquered for separation, and we have, limited unity. Yeah, people come together on a call, and they talk on the radio, and they yada yada, but we, two thieves have to agree to do the stealing together. The ones ruling the world may not like each other, but they agree to do the stealing from us, the people. And so they can unite when they have a purpose, but we, the people, haven't fully united to have the purpose to overcome and rebel so much against tyranny being perpetrated against us. So we're struggling and trying to settle our own differences within ourselves individually, so that collectively we can come together and move the mountain in the field of consciousness to overcome this and manifest a new reality. And this is what's going on. So there's a lot of 2 cents I could put in, and I like these kind of conversations because of all in the last call, Bobbie was saying there's a lot of positivity, and sure there is. There's a lot of great, beautiful people, beautiful earth, but these bad boys are trashing the planet into extinction. It is a very, very heavy density planet, a very negative realm, and we have to overcome this. There's way more negativity than there is positivity, otherwise we'd be out of it. So this is our dilemma that we're pulling ourselves out of, and I have no doubt that we are and will. But it takes discipline, and it takes us stopping involving ourselves in something that is false in order to have the time available to figure out who and what we are individually, and we're discovering that ourselves. And right now, in this realm, the truth has been criminalized. We cannot really tell the truth. I cannot really say what I mean and mean what I say, because you can sue and be sued in this world. So people are holding back their very strong feelings. They keep secrets, and this cannot take place in a new realm where there would be transparency and everybody comes clean, and you don't need to carry guns because of what somebody else might say. You don't like it, you're going to shoot them. And it's as simple as that. So, the war has to be settled, and that's the war in our mind and with each other. I'm the enemy. I'm the asshole. I'm it, Tag. I'm it.
My friend, I got to let you go because I got to get to the thought of the Dave in a couple of minutes. Thank you so much for calling in, my friend.
Thank you, Dave. Okay.
Take care. Some interesting points tonight on the phone. See, this is where we're at now when it comes to spirituality. We are at that point where we don't even really know what the hell is going on anymore. We really don't. But for those who are getting some sort of alien download, for those who are getting some sort of message after in their own spiritual quest to find out their own Zen and their own Chi, you think there would be more continuity in that message. Otherwise, aren't we just a bunch of lost souls? Makes you think. Really makes you think. I really don't know. 3 callers, 3 different opinions, and of course everybody's going to have their own opinion. There's nothing conspiratorial or tinfoil hat-ish about that. Okay? But who do we know is right and who do we know is wrong? I guess what it comes down to is simple faith. What is your faith? And do you trust your faith? That is up to you. The only one who could answer that is yourself. Sandra's calling for the giggle music. I do want to say, because I am not feeling very well tonight, if you were one of our little after-party people in Periscope, that I am going to be heading off to bed here to battle so I don't feel sick in the morning. I really don't want to feel sick in the morning. Kevin says, how do you know I'm not wearing how do you know I'm wearing a tinfoil hat? Oh, takes a tinfoiler to know a tinfoiler, Kevin. That's all I can tell you, man. The Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time. And if you're new to the show and don't know what the Thought of the Dave is, well, every day on my Facebook page, I put a question. And I look for you guys, the beautiful audience, to answer. And thankfully, you guys do. Because it would make this segment kind of boring if you didn't. Let's just be honest. It wouldn't be very good. So today's Thought of the Dave. Why do people believe aliens have helped humanity involved? We're going to go to Goddess Michelle on Twitter right off the back. And she says, well, some say there was a trade with the government. Some people say they have tinkered with our DNA. And there are those who believe that things like the pyramids are created or designed by aliens. We want to believe we are superior to generations past. I think this is a fantastic point. And this is the creative consequence we go through in trying to figure out what is real and what's not. Right? There are so many examples of where you could say, yeah, aliens did this, aliens did that. But where's the text? Where's the scripture? Now, I'm not saying Michelle is wrong. Not at all. She brings up some very valid points. Kevin says, from Twitter, supposed junk DNA leaps in technology with no evidence of the advancement and too many commonality among civilizations that never knew each other existed, and the pyramids everywhere. The pyramids are the weird one, at least for me, because the precision that was done to build those is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. So I'm not too sure. I mean, the pyramids are the one that screws me over, but where's the text? Like, where's the scripture on this? Maybe it's because I'm asking for that because I literally want to see it. And this, all of a sudden, you know, if I get my tinfoil hat on now, makes me wonder, okay, is this one of these, how can I put it? One of these hidden secrets that we know is being hidden in the Vatican. Yes, there are hieroglyphs, and thank you, Trip, for bringing that up in Periscope. Yes, there are hieroglyphs. But we can only assume what hieroglyphs say, and whether or not they're actually depicted with the extraterrestrials. So, I really don't know. Let's move on. Facebook. Matthew, out of Toronto, says, technology grew in leaps and bounds starting around the turn of the 20th century. That knowledge must have come from somewhere. Someone born in 1890 would use a horse as a main method of transportation. That same person would be 23 when the Wright brothers first achieved flight, and 79 years old when the alleged moon landings happened. Could you imagine being born in like the 1800s, like the late 1800s, and seeing all of this happen before your eyes? Growing up as a kid where horse and buggy or carriage were the main staple, then all of a sudden, my goodness, you see that four-wheeled car. And then, my goodness, airplanes. And then jets. Then helicopters. Then faster cars and faster boats. And oh my goodness. What a time to be alive that would have been. I mean, yes, it would have been horrific going through the world wars. Let's not kid ourselves here. And the Depression. That would have been horrific. All right? But I think the advancements in technology, I think there is something to that. And does that not once again come to what we talk about a lot of on the show, is the Greada Treaty with President Eisenhower? Timeline fits once again. Forgot to mention Canadian Joe on Twitter here. We've been fed the theory about hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers don't build pyramids, aqueducts, great walls. Logically, so-called primitive humans would have had to have help from far more advanced beings. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. Joe states, because it's in our DNA to think that way. Those aliens thought of everything. This coming from a guy who doesn't believe he's been taken. But he's got fantastic hair. So you can't go too hard on that. He does have fantastic hair. All right, Brandy says, I believe they are the cause for the rise in so many healers who can sense vibrational awareness. No, I don't buy that one. I believe that it's because we are getting in tune with ourselves spiritually. Don't want to give aliens credit for everything. Tessa, the tester, says, because of the leaps and bounds in our technological advances. Ha 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 ha! I guess I should have read some of the statements above, as Matt and I are on the same page. Did you like my laugh, Tess? That's what I want to know. Did you like my laugh? Now, Dawn is saying, I hate that music. Why do you hate the music? Why do you hate this? Why do you hate this, Don? Does it scare you? Just let Mr. Bumblefoot take it on over. All right. Grant says, evolve may be the wrong word. Genetic markers, blue blood, junk DNA, evidence of alien manipulation in Bible, Sumerian, and even on cave walls, hieroglyphs and hieroglyphs. Countless tales in many cultures that tell of their gods coming from the stars. This and much more that I don't have time or room to speak on now. Now research starseeds. Bill Hall, we always look to have someone lead us, so we search for leaders. If they did help, they suck at it. Billiam says, because they believe Star Trek is real. Brent, quite simply because of the advanced technology. Back to Billiam. Here's a better question. Why do people believe that every time we advance through well-documented trial and error, that somehow we were given these answers to advance further? Those Wright brothers clearly had some kind of advanced civilization helping them. I mean, a man flying in the air like a bird? Aliens! Aliens! I got to admit, that's funny. That is funny. That's a good comment, Billiam. That's why you're number one. That's why you're number one right there. Take a bow, my friend. Even though Katie will be the only one to see it. Take a bow. For all redheads across the universe. Take a bow, Billiam. Aliens. Hold on a second here, Bill. You have the red hair. That could come from aliens, too, because there's a minimal amount of you on this planet, and it's a dying breed from what I've read. I don't know where I'm going with that. But you redheads are dangerous. Dangerous. Nikki states, we haven't evolved as far as we should. I believe if they did help us evolve with advancing technology and the government didn't suppress technology, people would believe in aliens more. I think if we showed what technology is available but not used, that would be proof enough. Then our token gnome lover, Adnome, says, look at technology in the past 118 years. I carry the world on this stupid phone in my pocket. And then he goes and takes a Photoshop photo of me looking like a gnome. Disgusting. Who does that? Who does that? And why do you do that? I don't get it. Damn gnomes. Edward states, yep, sure. How many do you see on a daily basis? Me either. I would take Edward there as a 5 senses kind of guy. I don't think he's had fun in the sun for a while. All right. I know Bill just made a comment. Oh, he gave himself a big mention. We have superior genes. All right, we got time for a couple more here. Michael says, the word on the street is aliens genetically altered Homo erectus to be smart enough to mine gold. The aliens must have had a gold fetish like we do. Interesting take on that. And Gail, you get the final word. Help humanity evolve. If we separate technology from humanity, we don't see much evolution on the human side. Actually, humanity seems to have been on a backward slide since the 1970s. Dumber, ruder, meaner, and not holding much dear except their material possessions. If aliens are responsible for this, then they are not helpful, and I wish they would just leave humanity alone. Damn it, Gail. Damn it. How are we going to survive this? What are we supposed to do? Because the aliens are here. Want to say a big thank you to everybody calling in tonight. Really appreciate it. Tommy, Kevin, and one of our newest listeners, Kufunya. Thank you so much. Appreciate the shout-outs and the love. Want to say thank you to Bobbie Richardson for coming on in hours 1 and 2 to talk aliens and humanity. How do we come together? Tomorrow night on the program, our Keith Andrews will be back. Yeah, first Friday of the month already. Third month already. We're underway in March. Scary. The ET Connection gets going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern Time at spacedoutradio.com. Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. We appreciate the guitar god himself rocking with us. Horns up to Mr. Bumblefoot. I want to say a big thank you to everyone listening at home, at work, in your cars, everybody watching tonight on Periscope.tv and not mocking me for my horrible, horrendous hairdo tonight. Everybody on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio and at Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Thanks for listening in on Rev Radio, Wolf Spirit Radio. If you're checking out the show in Spreaker, a lot of fun tonight, everybody. Thanks for keeping it calm and keeping it respectful. And to all the veterans in the SOR Space Travelers Club, you guys were amazing as well. We're going to do all of this again tomorrow night. I hope you take the time to share our shows. Tell a friend about it, because we kept getting bigger and bigger, all because of you. Because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a good one. I'm out. See you tomorrow.